I am Siddharth, and with me on panel are, I'll request my panel to introduce themselves, please, starting with Rocktem.
Hi guys, my name is Rocktim. I'll be the panelist for this round and all the best for both the teams.
Thank you, Rocktem. Sneha, can you go ahead with the introduction?
Hi guys, I am Sneha. I will also be one of your panelists. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sneha. Could the other panelists also introduce themselves?
Hi everyone, my name is Anupriya, preferred pronoun she, they. All the very best for the debate. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah, your panelist for today. Happy debating.
Hello everyone, I'm Surya Aryan. All the best for your debating experience today. I wish everyone the best of luck. I'm one of your panelists.
Hello everyone, my name is Raj Singh. Congratulations to the teams who have made it thus far. I shall be serving as your chair for today and best of luck for the round.
Excellent. I think we had all introductions. So that should mark the beginning of an exciting finals. I'll just read the motion for you. We have for you a very interesting motion with a detailed context slide. I'll read the context slide. You are the district attorney of New York, that is the public prosecutor, who will be contesting elections for the next term too. District attorneys in the USA are elected officials and have wide discretion to decide which cases to prosecute and which not. Earlier in 2023, you had successfully prosecuted James for the murder of state governor's son. James, now a death row inmate, has exhausted all his appeal and is scheduled to die in 5 days. James' brother, John, believes that his brother is innocent. Acting under that belief, John stages an armed robbery in which no one is harmed and no money is taken. This puts John in the same prison as James. John attempts a prison break and successfully frees his brother. However, during the prison break, John had to take David out with them or risk discovery. It so happens that David kills someone after being set free. 10 days after the prison break, conclusive evidence pours in that the police department had fabricated evidence to protect the actual murderer. You believe in this evidence, and so does the media. This is the context slide, and the motion is this House, as the district attorney, will not prosecute John. All the best for the teams. Give over to the chair.
Right, thank you so much, Siddharth. With that out of the way, I request a timer to be put up so that all the speakers and the judges can refer to it for their speeches as well as raising points of information. With that out of the way as well, I call upon the floor Prime Minister to open the debate. Here, whenever you're ready.
Right. Hi, this is the Prime Minister. I can't really see the timer on the screen. Can somebody else see it?
Yeah, I'll be sharing the timer. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, all right, perfect. Yeah, just fixing up my camera.
Yeah, it's up now.
All right. Yeah, I hope I'm visible as well. Okay, I'm assuming that it's on. Yeah.
Visible, audible.
Got it. Oh yeah, just 10 seconds and I'll do this. Right. So hi everybody. This is Priya Singh. I'm representing the Prime Minister on side government. Preferred pronouns are she, her. For any POIs, you can just raise your hand, and then if I acknowledge you, I'll take them. All right. I'll start my timer in 3, 2, and 1. Now, as the government said, what is essentially our responsibility? We have to understand that this is an actors plus a policy motion, right? So all in all, both the government and the opposition today has to argue for what the district attorney's best course of action is going to be. It's not about whether or not the other stakeholders, of course, their primary concern is also going to be taken care of. But primarily, our primary stakeholder today is the district attorney himself and whatever is the best course of action for him. And the secondary holders would be, of course, John, James, and the other such actors in the motion, right? Now, what do I mean by when I say what is the objective of the said actor in this motion today? play, right? His objective is pretty simple. A, to safeguard his own interest. 2, to exercise his discretion judicially. And 3, to correct his previous mistake, and then to not re-attempt mistakes all over again, right? So now, what do I mean by when I say that? What is the term discretion here? That you are going to exercise your judgment judicially to decide upon cases. You have, of course, a responsibility towards the justice system as well as the individuals involved here. Why do I say that not prosecuting John is the best course of action for the said actor here? In one, obviously, the foremost important point here is that John is not the person who killed David. Killed the person, right? It was David, the other person who killed. So now the actor in this case, which is the district attorney, they are the ones who are going to contest elections in the next term as well. Why is that important? Of course, the public approval is a major factor in whether or not they're going to be elected. If they go ahead and reattempt their mistake, which was earlier prosecuting somebody wrongfully, the people are going to lose faith in the judgment all in all, right? This is not going to be a positive message to the society that no matter what mistakes the judgment is going to do, they're going to repeat those same mistakes again and again. So again, this is not good for his image, and ethically is also not correct, right? Obviously, this is not just to win the election. He's also a public official. He's a district attorney. He has some responsibility. We have to understand that no additional harm was done by John, right? He was only the person who aided his own brother because there was no other option for him left, because if he wouldn't have, then the next 5 days his brother would have died, right? That would have done more harm than just sitting by and not doing anything, right? Now, also there is a particular message that goes out of the society that anybody who wants to maybe get themselves involved into the justice system, and if the court has not been fair to them, they are not going to do anything at all, and they're just going to take those decisions by the face value, right? Like if, let's say, there was something wrong done, then nobody else is going to come up and try to rectify those mistakes or even try to indulge in them. So ultimately, this would lessen the faith that people have in the judiciary system, right? And why is that detrimental? Essentially for the district attorney, which is the primary actor in this case, because he relies on the justice system. He relies on other people to make sure that he's there in the justice system. He also has to make sure that he's not misusing the powers that have been bestowed upon him. So that becomes extremely important, right? Also, since this is also a woulds not a will not motion, so what is the other alternative that we're giving, right? So if not prosecuting John, then what? So what we propose is that, of course, a fine or a penalty can be imposed on John for a simple reason that he was not criminally charged, but he did break the rules and he shouldn't have been doing a robbery. So you can go ahead and implement a minimum fine penalty. You can also go ahead and then do a community service basis for him. So right, he would be then asked by the courts to do community service so as to serve as a good example, and even spread a message in the media and the public that you're not going to be penalized for trying to safeguard your interests, but you're still going to be, let's say, penalized for the mistakes, for the rules that you've broken, right? So again, this is no additional harm is being caused to the secondary stakeholders in this case. And obviously you would be going ahead and prosecuting David himself, because he's the actual person here who has gone ahead and killed somebody. It's not John himself, right? So this is all of this goes on to summarize that why is the government advocating to not prosecute John, for a simple reason that in this case we have to safeguard the interest of the district attorney, the actor in this motion, right? And in both of these cases, if you go ahead and then prosecute John, not only are you going to get immense amount of backlash from the public, because they also recognize that what John was might have been broken rules, but his intent was not. His intent was in the right place, right? He just wanted to go ahead and safeguard his brother's interest, which is not something that's wrong, right? So all in all, we would like to rest our case by saying that as the government side, we have to make sure that the district attorney's benefits are going to be maximized, and at the same time, no additional stakeholder at this point of time would be in any worst case either, which we have made sure is not going to happen, and hence proud to propose the motion. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that fine speech, Prime Minister. Calling upon the floor, Leader of Opposition. Hear, hear.
Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes to both.
All right. So Leader Opposition would like to start in 3, 2, 1. Right. So role of the district attorney. As the district attorney, your duty extends beyond individual cases to upholding the foundational principles of justice and the rule of law. And this includes the This includes ensuring that legal processes are followed rigorously and that decisions are based on evidence and legal standards, not personal sympathies or public opinion. Now, granting immunity to John based on his belief that his brother's innocence sets a dangerous precedent. It suggests that individuals can take the law into their own hands or commit crimes under the guise of seeking justice for perceived wrongs. Now, this further erodes the predictability and fairness of the justice system, which relies on consistent application of laws. And also, the whole point of the justice system is to maintain order and protect all citizens. While new evidence challenging the conviction of another individual may highlight potential flaws in a separate case, it does not justify or mitigate the criminal acts that are committed by John. And each case must be evaluated on its own merits, adhering to legal standards and ethical consideration of justice. Now, prosecutorial discretion allows flexibility in addressing unique circumstances of the case, but it must be exercised within established legal frameworks to ensure fairness and avoid arbitrary decisions. Offering immunity to John in this case could be perceived as arbitrary leniency, undermining the credibility of the district attorney's office and raising questions about equitable treatment under law. Now, beyond that, it's also important to understand that if John is granted if a policy is established that grants immunity to individuals like John, it creates legal uncertainty and erodes public trust in the justice system. It also suggests that legal outcomes can be influenced by subjective factors rather than objective evidence and established legal procedures. Further on, prosecuting individuals like John reinforces the deterrent effect of the justice system by demonstrating that criminal acts will be met with accountability and consequences. This helps maintain social order and discourages individuals from taking unlawful actions to achieve personal or ideological objectives. Now, taking a statement from what the Prime Minister had to say, as aforementioned, the Prime Minister had stated that instead of prosecuting John, something like community service or even fines could be imposed as sort of penalty. But the severity of the crimes have to come into play here. John's actions involved armed robbery and facilitating a prison break. These are serious felonies that pose significant risk to public safety. And such crimes typically result in severe penalties because they involve the use of force, intimidation, and the potential for harm to individuals and property. Now, during the prison break, John's actions inadvertently led to the release of David, who subsequently killed someone. This consequence amplifies the severity of John's original crimes as they directly result in a loss of life. Lesser penalties like fines or community service do not adequately address the gravity of such outcomes. And fines or community service are often used for less severe offenses and may not serve as a strong enough deterrent for serious crimes. Individuals might perceive the penalties as minor inconvenience rather than significant punishments, which could encourage others to commit similar crimes, believing that they will face only minimal consequences. Now, beyond this, let's take some hypothetical scenarios. For example, a journalist who believes that a high-profile politician has been wrongfully convicted of corruption and organized the group to storm the courthouse, freeing the politician and causing widespread damage. Now, during the chaos, important legal documents are destroyed, affecting numerous other cases. But if these actions are not prosecuted, it undermines the legal process, discourages adherence to lawful means of seeking justice, and disrupts the entire judicial system. So, to conclude, I understand that John's actions were driven by noble intentions. He believed in his brother's innocence and sought to right what he perceived as a grave injustice. This shows his loyalty and compassion towards his family, which are all qualities that we can admire. However, despite John's noble intentions, we must acknowledge that his actions committing armed robbery, aiding a prison break, and causing subsequent harm constitute serious criminal offenses. Good intentions do not absolve individuals of their legal responsibility or mitigate the consequence of unlawful actions. One of the most troubling aspects of John's actions is the fact it's unintended, but the grave consequences that they had. By breaking his brother out of prison, John also facilitated the escape of another inmate, David, which led to the death of an innocent person, a tragic outcome that John did not foresee but is nonetheless responsible for. We cannot overlook the fact that John's decision directly resulted in a loss of life, which amplifies the severity of his actions. John's actions pose significant dangers, particularly the risks associated with armed robbery and aiding a prison break, and these actions jeopardize public safety and undermine societal norms, regardless of the motives behind them. The death that results from the prison break is a stark reminder of why such actions are deemed criminal and dangerous. It's crucial to maintain consistency in legal principles and precedents. Granting John immunity would set a precedent that individuals can justify criminal acts based on subjective beliefs, potentially leading to chaotic interpretations of justice and undermining the rule of law. We must also consider fairness towards the victims affected by John's actions. Victims deserve justice and restitution for any harm caused, and the justice system has a responsibility to uphold their rights while maintaining its integrity and impartiality. The family of the person killed by David also deserves justice, and John's actions cannot be separated from the tragic outcome. John had alternative legal avenues to challenge his brother's conviction or seek justice without resorting to criminal acts. Adherence to lawful and ethical means is crucial in achieving justice while respecting the rights and safety of all individuals involved. Thus, it's important to highlight John's legal and ethical responsibility as a member of society to abide by the law and uphold societal norms, even in challenging or emotional circumstances. Holding individuals accountable for their actions reinforces societal values and promotes respect for legal frameworks. That's it. Leader of opposition rest case.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Leader of Opposition. Calling upon the floor, Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
All right, I'll be just starting my speech in 20 seconds. All right, on the back count of 3, I'll be starting my speech. And for the POIs, I'll be taking it. You can raise your hands. And once I'm ready, I'll be acknowledging you. All right. 3, 2, 1. Panel, firstly, we need to understand what the type of this motion is. This is an actor's motion plus a policy motion. So first and foremost, interest hold for the primary stakeholder, that is the district attorney here. So what I hear in the speech by the Leader of Opposition is, yes, he does say that he mentions the significance of the justice system and the precedent for the upcoming justice system, how the law is being maintained, how everything is done according to systematic procedures. But one needs to understand the context set in USA. In USA, we follow the due process of law, not just the procedure established by law. There is a stark difference between them. In the due process of law, you have to take care of the laws and the procedures established to obtain that law. And on the other hand, on the procedure established by law, only the procedure is checked during the legal circumstances. But in USA, you check whether the sanctity of the law is maintained and whether the procedure that has been used has been maintained here or not. Now, on the arguments on our side, truly justify the benefits or the primary foremost reasons for the primary stakeholder, as well as they do not harm the secondary stakeholders. We let you know why. Firstly, it is a chance for the justice correction or the rectification what the District Attorney General had done earlier, because he gave the punishment or the death sentence to the person who killed Governor Sen. But right now the evidence has been made out that it was a fabricated evidence. So it is a time for rectification once in. And again, his work is to prosecute someone. His work is not to deliver the final justice. He has a discretion to bring out the cases for their verdicts. So he doesn't hold the final accountability of the final stamp or approval. And one more case, even if you want to have hold accountability to John, you don't have the only alternative, your only option having the district attorney. You also have the other options. Although the district attorney has a wide discretion, that's what mentioned here. He has a wide discretion to present the cases for the prosecution, but he doesn't have the total discretion. The other discretion also lies in the hand of the public. If someone does not agree with the acquittal of John from this case, they can raise their issue certainly, but not through this way of approach to the district attorney general. So that case still remains valid in our paradigm. It's just the primary stakeholder, how he deals with it. Now, in the other case around, what is the benefit of this primary stakeholder here? Firstly, it is mentioned he has to contest elections next time. But firstly and foremostly, his intention or his results or his doings won't be based on this outcome. Firstly, he has the responsibility of being the district attorney general. He doesn't have the only responsibility of prosecuting, giving the cases to the prosecution. He also has a responsibility to maintain the public peace, law, and order in that particular area. The media itself knows that the evidences were fabricated by the police. So it means the public itself also knows, because media is the propagation between the law and the public. Again, the public sentiment is same. The district attorney sentiment is same, and the media also knows that. So why will he take a step which is against the public order? Instead, that will disrupt the entire public order. So he will take a step which will destroy the public order, and the public is not still there. Now you can rebut me on this aspect. You can say that will we take care of the public or will we take care of the law established by the other organs? Yes, we have to take accountability of the law, but here the talk is about not delivering the justice. The talk is about giving the case for the prosecution. There is a stark difference between them. We are not delivering the justice on John that, hey, we are not applying these laws to you. We are only refraining to you from the prosecution process. That same prosecution process can still be established by the other people, but not via this chain of the district attorney, because he has to take care of the public order as well at the same time. Now again, they said that what is the victim? How will the victim have the justice given to him? Again, who is the main culprit here? David killed that other person. The murderer was David. Yes, we know in that same process, the intentions of John was clear. He even didn't know that David will come out and David will kill another person. That was completely unintended. David will still be punished. David will still be sent for prosecution. That is an entire different case. But right now, the talk is about, shall the John be prosecuted here or not? Or shall be for prosecution or not? So this means in the hands of district attorney, it is not viable here for his own benefits, because ultimately you have to see the secondary benefits as well. If I am again saying this is not the primary benefit we are seeking here. We are just seeing it as an unintended beneficial outcome for that district attorney, that if he does this sort of thing, he will also have benefit in the upcoming elections. But this is not the primary thing he has to do it. It is an unintended outcome. I again saying it is an unintended beneficial outcome. The intended outcome is just that he is taking care of the public order, public sentiments, media sentiments. And that's what the justice system is made to deliver the justice. What alternative do you provide to me? You bash the entire decision, entire case provided by the government, but still you do not provide an alternative how James' life could have been saved. If John did not do this crime, if John did not do this sort of things, how could have James be rescued from this? He had all his chances vanished. He didn't have anything to do to save his life. After 5 days, he was going to death. There was no chance coming back for him. So that was the only solution. It is mentioned in the context. You should have read the context that it was the only solution possible for John at that time. And for the public, what they might think in the future, like if someone fights against the injustice, and that too was the only source of keeping away the injustice, we will also be prosecuted. Even if the public is with us, we will still be prosecuted. Even if there is clear fabricated evidence, we will still be prosecuted. To fight against injustice, and that just disturbs the entire public order just to save a particular case. And exceptions are a part of judiciary and their verdicts, and that's how I raise my case. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy Leader of Opposition, floor is yours. Here.
Okay. Am I audible and visible?
Yes to both.
Okay. I would like to start in 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Firstly, the most important thing to understand here is that it is essentially not one case that we're dealing with, but 3 different cases. One surrounds James, the original accused and the convict. One surrounds John, his brother, who staged an armed robbery and prison break. And the third, which can be extended to, is with David and the murder that he committed. Now, this distinction is very important to understand, that each case must be treated as its own. You cannot be interrelating each of these cases. And this House of the Opposition firmly believes that John must be removed from his connection to his brother and has to be looked at as an individual person capable of his own actions. Now, let's look at the facts. John was a prisoner. John escapes from prison along with another prisoner. So he has aided in helping a total of 3 prisoners escape, including himself. And this other prisoner ends up killing someone else. Now, that is his own actions and cannot be attributed to the actions of John. Now, it is very commonsensical to understand that John is fully deserving of being put on trial for the offense that he has committed and not for the offense of what David has done. The pillar of legal system is the rule of law. Law is above all, and everyone is one and the same in front of it. Now, to uphold this, it's quite obvious that John needs to be prosecuted. And I feel like the government has completely failed to understand that this is a federal crime. Under Section 752 of the 18th United States Code, this is a federal crime, and there are severe punishments that come with a federal crime. There's a complete difference between what a federal crime is and what a state crime is. State crimes are crimes that break state law and cover like the most majority of all crimes. And federal crimes are those that government has specifically designated for which they have priority over state laws. This isn't a normal case that we are dealing with, but with a federal crime that John has literally taken 3 people, including himself, and escaped from prison. Additionally, it seems like the government was agreeing with the crime that John committed in committing prison break, and they were justifying that, just what the Deputy Prime Minister said. But it is evident and can't be ignored that the district attorney would not want to go through this case because it will clash with the campaign that's coming up for the election next term. Seeing as how James was already convicted and new evidence proving otherwise has come up, it would make sense why the district attorney does not want to reopen these cases and does not want to go ahead. However, this is a manipulation of power and disregard for the seriousness of the legal system. Is public approval enough to uproot and upstage the system of justice and the fact that a criminal will be let to walk free? The district attorney cannot have more importance simply because they're a public official. What has to be of utmost importance is ensuring that the law is upheld. Just because it's his discretion does not mean that you are not a lawyer that's working with the law in questions of justice. You cannot draw like a harsh line. I will take POIs at the end if I have time. Okay, and another way of looking at this is to look at the philosophies that surround criminology. The classical school, for example, they heavily rely on the free will theory. Now, this theory says that every individual has free will and has a rationality to do what action they are committing. they are capable of making their own logical decisions. And clearly, John has a fully fledged plan, step-by-step method in which he has taken to aid and abet prison break. Now, letting go of this or failing to prosecute him for the same would mean failing to stick to the idea of trying to uphold justice, or taking this to court, where you're ideally, as a public prosecutor, you would want to put someone like this on trial because that is technically your job. But however, failing to do this because of campaigns clearly sets out a political agenda and is infringing on the judiciary's aspect and what the law has to do. Now, as the state, ideally, you should understand that letting go of this person means that you're reducing power and importance of your own position. You're giving out a message to the public that public prosecutors will go easy, that they don't want more cases on their hands if there's a political agenda that they have to further on. So any case that doesn't involve another person as the victim directly would mean arbitrary dismissal of the same. I'm sorry, that just does not make sense. Now, I would just like to reiterate that the United States takes its federal laws very seriously, which the government completely failed to mention. And failing to apply this would mean failing to uphold the law and wield the laws it's supposed to. Now, and in every case, there has to be preparation, intention, attempt, and final reaction. John has clearly ticked all 4 of the boxes, and it's very obvious, like it's plain and simple, put on a silver platter, that John needs to be put on trial for prosecution. And I understand that the DA is an important stakeholder, but that does not mean furthering your political agenda of wanting to be the district attorney for the next election term would mean letting go of this person. Thank you. I rest my case.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Government Whip, whenever you're ready. Here.
Yes, am I audible?
Audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Can I please take 10 seconds if that's okay? Okay. Myself, Rajshekhar Mishra. I will be ending this debate once and for all as the whip of the government side, and I will be going on. I will be going on the self count of 3, 2, 1. Panel, my job today as the whip for the government, for speaking from the government side, is to summarize the debate, to tell you major points and clashes and why are we winning this, and make the obvious very obvious, which is why are we winning this debate. Panel, first of all, I will have to repeat, just like the PM had to repeat and just like the DPM had to repeat, that this motion is not a this house would motion. This is a character plus policy motion. Now, what is the difference? The difference is that in a character motion, you need to live that character as the main stakeholder, and then there are side stakeholders. And you have to understand that in a character motion, you will have to understand that the benefit of the main stakeholder, while not providing any harm to the side stakeholder or to any side stakeholder, this should be the best way to move forward in a debate of this motion. Panel, the opposition side completely fails to understand this. None of the speaker before me from the opposition side anyhow were able to make me understand or explain it to me that how the main stakeholders or the stakeholders were being benefited from their point of view. They even failed to mention the stakeholders. So I will do that as well. Our main stakeholder is me, which is district attorney, playing the character. The side characters are James and John. David is not our stakeholder. A criminal can never be a stakeholder. Let's make that very clear. Now, let me start from the beginning of the speech, which was from. Let me start from the LO speech. Panel, the LO came on the stage and constantly stated that objective evidences should be required in a law. Objective evidences should be upheld in a law. And I said, well, that's absolutely correct. Please reread the context itself. It is mentioned that conclusive evidences were found that that murder case was fabricated. Now, please tell me, you have the evidences, you have the objective evidences, you have the conclusive evidences. I'm putting it in the words of LO itself that there should be objective evidences that that murder was fabricated. Now, please tell me, what other option did John have but not to do what he did? He did not harm anyone. He did not harm anyone directly. So what other option he had? It is specifically mentioned in the context that all the appeals were exhausted. That means John tried everything in his power, everything in his legal power to help and save his innocent brother. But it was not possible. So I am not able to understand what other option did John have. And the opposition side completely fails to play the character and tell me as the district attorney that what was the other option that John could have had. Now, another point that was made by the LO was the opposition attorney constantly blamed for John for David's action. Now, there is a very big contradiction between the LO statement and the DLO statement. LO comes up and around 3 times mentions this, that the indirect actions of John resulted in David having the opportunity to kill someone. But then the DLO comes on the stage and says, well, David's actions are his own and John cannot be blamed for that. I do not understand this contradiction in their case itself. But again, if I were to take the statement of the LO, please tell me, were the action of judiciary not directly or indirectly involved into leading John what he did? So why is there such a hypocrisy in the statements and such a contradiction in the statements from the opposition side? Panel, we also need to understand that the DLO mentioned that we need to uphold the justice. Now, what is justice? Please give me the definition of your justice. You are trying to uphold the justice, but what sort of justice? You are trying to uphold a justice where a person who had no other option and he loved his brother had to do something. He had already tried everything in his legal power, and you are trying to prosecute him. Is this the definition of your true justice? I do not understand what you mean by true justice, panel. But again, I will have to tell you that how in our case we are upholding the benefit of the main stakeholder while not harming any of the side stakeholders involved in this debate. Panel, we have to understand that what we are doing is the best possible way to have most good extracted for the main stakeholders as well as the side stakeholders. Who are the side stakeholders? James and John. What is happening to them in our paradigm? What is happening to them is that both of them, that James is being set free without any doubt. John is doing a very minimal social service for his actions, but is not being prosecuted under criminal trial and hence has no harm. I, as the main stakeholder, I get to present a view in front of the public that, look, justice should be served by whatever means possible. Justice should be true. It should not be flawed. It should not be undercooked. It should be honest. Panel, let me please just compare the worst case scenario with the best case scenario. Panel, in our worst case scenario, the major stakeholder, the sideline stakeholders have no harm. We have made sure that we as a district attorney win the trust of the general public as well, and the general public have trust on the law as well, because they know that justice will be served by whatever means true justice will be served. In their best case scenario, the major stakeholders loses his election while also losing the trust of public, and public losing the trust in justice system, as also mentioned by the DPM. Thank you and have a very nice day.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Government Whip. Opposition Whip, please take the floor and conclude this debate. Hear, hear.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes to both.
Okay, I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay, firstly, before I start with my main argument, I'd like to address something that the Whip said. The Whip talked about how we have a wrong assumption of who a stakeholder is and how a criminal can't be a stakeholder, but also said that John is a side stakeholder in this case. Are you saying that John's crimes of breaking 2 people out of prison are not considered as crimes? You saying that you admitting that those don't consider as crimes is just contradicting your whole debate and just contradicting your whole point. Either way, I'll still like discount the other points. Now, you said that John firstly committed the crime because of desperation, because he did not have any other means to free his brothers. His brother used all of his chance to get away, but they could not fail. But I would like to ask you a question: that is desperation an excuse for a criminal act? Where is it written? When has a president ever said saying that desperation is an excuse for criminal act? I'll give you an example, right? Let's just say, like, there are 2 employees, really good friends. They're working for a company. One of them gets unjustly fired. Now, are you saying the other has full right to go to office one day, get like a gun and shoot the boss? Absolutely not. Why? I'm not taking any POS. Absolutely not. Why? Because that's not through the book. You need to do through the book, and these institutions are applied because they are fair, right? And I'd like to also address that we are very sympathetic that a mistake has happened because of the police producing false evidence. We're sympathetic, and we understand that these mistakes happen, but just because these mistakes happen doesn't mean it's the norm. Doesn't mean we can set a precedent that incentivizes more crime to happen. Doesn't mean we can set a precedent that incentivizes people taking justice into their own hands. When people think they take justice into their own hands, that's when genocides happen. Even like people like Hitler thought he's doing justice. Just because your definition of justice doesn't match someone's definition of justice doesn't mean you take justice into your own hands and do whatever you want. You also talked about how the main stakeholder, right, the public prosecutor, his interests are not taken into account with us. We have to understand that the district attorney got his votes because of the job he did as a district attorney. The public saw that he is doing his job nicely, he's doing his job properly, he's doing his job in an honest manner and following the rules by the book, right? Are you saying that just to get now just to follow word of the public prosecution, he's going to stop doing his job? He's still a district attorney. I don't know if you've read the motion yet. He's still a district attorney. We can't tell him not to do his job because a future job prospect is going. Also, you brought out a point where community service would be given, right, to these people, to John, because his intention to do the crime was not as much. You're comparing. You have to understand that community service is given to people who have done petty crimes, things like robbing like a small place, or maybe like theft or this normal pickpocketing. Community service is given to these people. John broke 2 people out of prison, and one of those people went on to commit a murder. You can't tell me John broke out a prisoner and didn't expect him to go be a threat to public. The reason he's in prison is because he's a threat to public. There is an implied understanding that if someone is in prison, they are a threat to public, and if you break them out, they are going to do something haphazard and cause harm and violence. It's completely unreasonable to say that John did not have any implied intention to do that. We're not prosecuting John for the murder, but we have to prosecute him for breaking these people out of prison. Also, I'd like to talk about the intention, right? Now John went and tried to, he staged a bank robbery successfully, and then he broke 2 people out of prison. You think these things don't happen out of deliberation? These things need constant deliberation over months. He must be planning this over months. This is not just a sudden act of desperation that can be excused. Because he has so much deliberation, he has full intent, and this intention to commit the crime is the only thing you need. For a crime to be constituted, you just need intention. Whether it's good or bad, that does not matter. I rest my case.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Opposition Whip. This was a great round of debating. To all the speakers, please cross the floor and shake hands virtually. Thank you for contributing to this competition and to this round. And please allow the panel to decide the verdict and then deliver it. Thank you, everyone.
Do we leave the call?